Welcome to Art and Vision, a weekly time of contemplative prayer at Davison United Methodist Church. I'm Pastor Rob McPherson, and I'm glad that you have joined us for this time of connecting deeply with God. We continue to use this book, Contemplative Vision by Juliet Benner, and so thankful for the work that she has done on this. It really allows us to deepen our time with God as we look at artwork and her commentaries upon it. This week, our study is on inner stillness, time spent with Jesus. Juliet says in her book, inner stillness, this is chapter 3, is essential for spiritual attentiveness. Inner stillness is essential for spiritual attentiveness, but it is the means, not the end. Contemplative prayer is not a strategy for stress management or a form of relaxation. Because it is prayer, it involves a relationship. It is being with God and being drawn closer to God. So the stillness is a tool to help us do that, but it's not the goal. The goal of contemplative prayer is not to try and make yourself still. This is both impossible and misses the point that prayer is an encounter with God, not a spiritual self-improvement technique or stress management strategy. I love that it's impossible to become completely still. Yeah, that is so true for me. The goal of stillness before God is to be totally open with God. In the words of Cynthia Bourgeau, to consent to the presence and action of God within us, whatever form it comes. The purpose of stillness is to enable us to know God in the way that is only possible in stillness. Recall the remarkable words of Psalm 46:10, which is not our scripture for the day, but is also a wonderful one for this chapter. Be still and know that I am God. Stillness is a form of spiritual perception. In stillness, we encounter God and God us in ways that are impossible under other conditions. Where are we going with this stillness? Well, our scripture for the day is going to be about Mary, the sister of Martha and Lazarus. And she's often identified as one who comes to be still at the feet of Jesus, right? That's what we know her for. Juliet says, while it is unlikely that she ever attended a workshop on contemplative prayer or read any books or articles on the topic, she lived in a posture that is captured in the piece of art we're going to look at today as one who is still before Christ. Our painting today will be by Dutch artist Vermeer and his artistic response to a meditation on Luke 10:38-42. As you listen to this passage, I want you to listen to it. It may be a very familiar passage to you, so I want you to listen to it as if it's the first time you've heard it. Notice any new images or thoughts that come to your mind as you're listening. Allow yourself to picture it in your own mind as if you were the one preparing to paint it. And how would you paint it? Allow some of this work to be done before we see what Vermeer has done with it. So here is our scripture. While Jesus and his disciples were traveling, Jesus entered a village where a woman named Martha welcomed him as a guest. She had a sister named Mary, who sat at the Lord's feet and listened to his message. By contrast, Martha was preoccupied with getting everything ready for their meal. So Martha came to him and said, Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to prepare the table all by myself? Tell her to help me." The Lord answered, "Martha, Martha, you are worried and distracted by many things. One thing is necessary. Mary has chosen the better part. It won't be taken away from her." What words, what images come to your mind? So he said, if you were painting this, what would be one of the pieces that you would focus on? Is it Mary? Is it Martha? Is it the table, the worry? I can't say what it is for you, but take a moment and begin to paint that picture in your mind. Let's read it again. This time you've got a beginning piece, some words or ideas from God, some pictures and images that are beginning to develop. Listen again and focus particularly on those images or thoughts or words that had already begun to come to you. And allow them to speak a little more. Where is God leading you with these things, these images, these words? Here again, this scripture. While Jesus and his disciples were traveling, Jesus entered a village where a woman named Martha welcomed him as a guest. She had a sister named Mary, who sat at the Lord's feet and listened to his message. By contrast, Martha was preoccupied with getting everything ready for their meal. So Martha came to him and said, "Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to prepare the table all by myself? Tell her to help me." The Lord answered, "Martha, Martha, you are worried and distracted by many things. One thing is necessary. Mary has chosen the better part. It won't be taken away from her." As you think about the scripture and where God is beginning to speak to you, let us now go to Vermeer's painting. Let's look deeply at the painting. How is this scene different from the one that you were beginning to form in your imagination as we read the story? Or how does this painting change or enhance your understanding of the story? What is your initial response to it as you look over the whole thing? Take a moment and we're just going to dwell with the picture and the messages we've already begun to hear from God. Let's allow Juliet to help us to look at the painting yet more deeply. Notice how this depiction transcends time. All of the elements suggest a setting within Vermeer's culture and period, but Jesus remains clothed in Middle Eastern garb of his time and place. The Jesus of history comes to them and meets them in their world, and he does the same thing for us. The room is dark, serving to highlight the three dominant figures that are central to the story. The light brings them all into sharp focus. They are held closely in a large triangle, in the center of which is a brilliant white cloth, also a triangle. This artistic device invites us to enter and participate in the drama of the painting. So let us enter into it together. Look at Martha in the painting. Her sleeves are pushed up to allow her to work unfettered by her clothing, which is plain and practical. In her hands, she holds a basket of bread, which she probably baked herself. Martha's relationship with Jesus is obviously close and intimate enough for her to be totally honest with him about her feelings. Her culinary preparations suggest care and love for a special friend. Yet Jesus is inviting something more from her. As she places her meal on the table, she turns her face to Jesus to express her concerns. And I think Juliet has captured this particularly well. Jesus in turn looks at Martha, but gestures toward Mary to indicate the one good thing that shall not be taken away from her. It is an open, warm gesture which also communicates to Martha that she is included in it if she will allow it. The interplay between the three figures creates a continuous movement between them in an otherwise still painting. The light and love on Jesus' face as he turns toward Martha expresses a tender and compassionate longing for fellowship with her too. With her too. Notice how his right hand, open and extended and highlighted by the bright white of the tablecloth, is not only pointing to Mary, but is also a gentle invitation to spend time enjoying him. His hand seems to be offering the same invitation to Martha and to us. How do you respond? Let's turn our focus to Mary. She sits on a low stool at Jesus' feet. Her clothing is brighter and more colorful. Could it be something special she put on for the occasion? This could reflect her anticipation of his visit and her personal preparation for it. She sits in a relaxed manner, her left arm resting lightly on her left knee. Her right arm supports her face. Do you remember last week's painting where Jesus was posed with his face resting on his right arm, and how that was a pose of contemplation? Here she is doing the same. As she leans slightly forward to attend to Jesus' words, her feet are bare, suggesting humility and a visible symbol of her as a disciple. Mary sits so close to Jesus that she seems to merge with him in the painting. Her knee seems to touch his. The shadowing of their garments makes little distinction between them. There's a real physical and heart intimacy conveyed here. The vivid and sumptuously rendered tapestry behind Mary adds to the feeling of warmth and vitality in this relationship. This is a rich friendship that allows space for just being together. So again, having heard what Juliet says about the passage, how is this scene different from the one you formed from the scripture as we read the story? How does the painting change or enhance our understanding, not just of the story, but of what you began to hear from God? What does this picture add to the message that God had for you as you were listening to the words of the scripture? Look deeply at the painting. Remember what you were beginning to think about as you read the scripture. What is God saying? Let's listen to the scripture one more time. We've begun to put together the picture we had in our mind and the images that we were forming, along with what Vermeer pictured. And we're pulling all of this together into some moment of divine encounter with God. What is that encounter for you? So here's the scripture again. While Jesus and his disciples were traveling, Jesus entered a village where a woman named Martha welcomed him as a guest. She had a sister named Mary, who sat at the Lord's feet and listened to his message. By contrast, Martha was preoccupied with getting everything ready for their meal. So Martha came to him and said, "Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to prepare the table all by myself? Tell her to help me." The Lord answered, "Martha, Martha, you are worried and distracted by many things. One thing is necessary. Mary has chosen the better part. It won't be taken away from her." We go back to the painting again. Juliet does a really nice job in her reflection and discussion section in this chapter 3. She asks, "Put yourself in the picture. Who in the painting do you identify with at this moment? Where would you be? What would you be doing? What would you be thinking? As you look again at Martha, what would be in your basket? What are the preoccupations of your life, the so many things which worry and bother you, and which may lead you to avoid stillness before God? Look at Mary. Where are you quiet? Where are you connected? Where are you in love with what God is doing, in listening so patiently and well? look at Jesus, what is he saying to you? How does he respond to the way you relate to him? What invitation is he extending to you now? So many good things in that scripture, in that painting, in putting ourselves within the painting, of seeing Jesus looking at us with love and calling us to spend time with him. But there were words that you heard, images you saw, a specific message perhaps for you from this Jesus. What was it? Begin to put the whole thing together in words for yourself. The message from the scripture, the way it is changed or enhanced or grows through the painting of Vermeer. Allow yourself to claim a message from Christ as you have spent time together with him. Finish up your time of looking at the painting and of contemplation of this wonderful and beautiful time spent with Christ. There may be things that you need to continue to think about in the next days as they come, ways that you deepen this message or explore it more fully. If you ever find yourself needing to talk about one of these, I'm certainly willing to. For now, I again thank you for joining us in this time of prayer and contemplation, this experience and encounter of God, and pray that you would continue to be aware of God's presence around you, so close. Claim times of stillness when you're able to, and find yourself listening